Hello everyone! I hope you're ready for another adventure, because today Wayne reads Moishes' Miracle. Always remember that as we go along with these amazing holiday stories, all you have to do is press the CC button in your YouTube link if you want to follow along with the words. I believe that Madam Owl will be perfect to join us for this amazing Hanukkah adventure. All set? Let's jump in. Moishes' Miracle, a Hanukkah story. Starlight, star bright, magic on a winter's night. White snow, candle glow, far away and long ago. In the poor village of Wishniak lived a milkman named Mosh and his wife Bela. Since he owned only 2 cows, Mosh earned a meager living. Still, he was known as a generous man, always ready to help his neighbors. Bela scrubbed and cooked and tried to scrape together a few kopecks for a nice Sabbath meal. But, boy, how she could scold. Everyone said she had the sharpest tongue in Wishniak and little patience for Mosh's generous ways. It was early winter, and already the wind prowled the icy lanes of the village like a starving jackal. Many were feeling the pangs of hunger. Malka, the widow, and her ailing son Shamel, Heshti Fenster, out of work, with his wife expecting their 13th child. Frail Bubby Rafika, housebound with her calico cat. Moish left an extra pint of thick cream there. On the night of the holiday of Hanukkah was to begin, Bela untied her kippel, the knot of her handkerchief in which she kept their money, and shook the handkerchief in Moish's face. Empty! All because of your foolish generosity. How will I buy eggs and flour to make the Hanukkah lots? Which, much less the oil to fry them. Mush imagined coins falling from their handkerchief into Bela's hand when they turned into green potato pancakes. He could almost smell his locks frying. Oh well, he thought with a sigh, we ought to be thankful for what we have. Balela, don't fret, he soothed. There are enough onions and potatoes for a nice pot of soup. But Bala would not listen. How did I end up with a Shmel when I could have married a baker's son? On and on she scolded, hands on her hips, her eyes rolled heavenwards until Mosh fled to the cowshed for some peace. He flopped down on the straw. How sleepy he felt. Mooshi! Mooshi! The milkman sat up suddenly. Rubbing his eyes, he looked around to see who was calling him. Imagine his astonishment when he found that it was one of his cows. You have always cared for us well, Moshi. You keep our shed clean, milk us on time, and feed us plenty. Most certainly, chimed the other cow. So, although we seldom revealed humans our power to speak, we want to help you, dear Mosh. While you were sleeping here tonight, the first cow went on, a stranger came to the shed. For hours he entertained us with tales of magic and adventure. You snored loudly all the while, but before leaving, he hid a gift for you. There, under the straw, she pointed with her velvetly black nose. For me? Mosh reached down and felt something cold and hard. He pulled but a frying pan encrusted with grease. An old pan? He tried not to show his disappointment. But such a pan, exclaimed the second cow. According to the stranger, you have only set it upon the fire totally empty, and it will produce as many delicious lox as you wish. Lox by the dozens. Lox by the hundreds will appear until you remove the pan from the stove. Just remember the stranger's warning. To Mosh this gift is given, and only Mosh must use it. Mosh was overjoyed. He showed thanks to the cows and milked them, for it was early morning. Then he returned to the house and hid the frying pan on top of the wardrobe, intending to surprise his wife with it later on. That evening, Mosh and Bela lit the first Hanukkah candle with the shams, and the candle used the light on the others. They would add a candle to the menorah on each of the 8 nights of Hanukkah. With the menorah glowing in the window, Mosh took down the magic frying pan and told Bela all that had happened in the cowshed, being careful to repeat the stranger's warning. Of course, Bela did not believe a word of Mosh's story. I've never heard of anything so mishta in my life, she scolded. A pan is a pan. Nevertheless, Mosh placed the pan over the fire. A lively sizzle filled the air. Soon the aroma of potatoes and onions frying made Mosh's nose twitch and Bela's mouth water. Then there were locks plopping as plumpest little pillows with edges like golden lace. The locks were so light, they floated right into the air as they were finished cooking. Bela and Mosh leaped about the kitchen catching them. When each of them had a plateful, Mosh removed the pan from the fire. Then he and Bela ate their fill and went to bed. How Mosh tossed and turned that night, twisting the cover in knots. Perhaps he had eaten too many locks. In his dreams he saw Shumel and Bubby Rifa and the Calico Cat and the Finsterbrood. They marched around his bed, holding empty plates and staring at him with hungry eyes. The next morning, Mosh left a note on every doorstep. Happy Hanukkah. Please come for lox tonight at Mosh's, the milkman's. It seemed that all of Wishniak squeezed into Mosh's and Bela's little house that night. Lox galore sailed from the flying pan. There was singing and dancing, so Heshi's accordion and children spun dreidels, little Hanukkah tops. Only Bela stood apart, shaking her head. Mosh was giving things away, as usual, and making a mess of her house. If she could get rid of him for a while, she would take matters into her own hands. The next day, Bela hid the Hanukkah candles under her bed. Mosh, there are 6 more days of Hanukkah left, and all of our candles are gone, she wailed. Then she sent him off to borrow some of their sisters in the next village. She knew it would take him hours to walk there and back. As soon as the door banged shut, Bela made a sign and hung it on the window. Bela's Cafe, luscious lox, 1 kopak each. She took down the frying pan. Of course, she remembered Mosh's words about the strangers. To Mosh, this gift was only given, and to Mosh must only use it. But why shouldn't the magic work for her too? After all, she was his wife. Bela placed the pan on the fire. There was a sizzling sound. It grew louder and louder as she waited for the perfume of frying lox to reach her nose, but instead a burning odor filled the kitchen. Bela pushed the pan away for the flame, but the smell grew stronger, catching in her throat. A plume of smoke uncoiled and like a gray serpent. Dipping up some water, Bela flung it on the pan. Hiss! The water splattered everywhere, but before she could blink, each droplet changed into a hairy little demon with pointy ears and a forked tail. The creatures danced around, and Bela giggling and pelting her with unburnt locks. Then, climbing into the chairs around the table, they shook empty handkerchiefs in her face. Bela spun this way and that until she was dizzy. She could not escape them. Just as she swooned to the floor, the door opened. In blew Mosh on a cold draft. He was followed by Wishniak's old rabbi and his wife, and the Rebbetzin, whom Mosh had the chance to meet on his way out of town. It was the Rebbetzin who sold the candles to the villagers, and he had kindly given Mosh enough candles to last them for the rest of the holiday. Mosh had invited them to a home for a couple of lots. The demons took a look at the rabbi, shrieked in horror, jumped back into the pan, and vanished instantly in a belch of smoke. Bela was brought back to her senses by a whiff of the Rebbetzin smelling salt. For the first time in her life, she had nothing to say. The demons had scared her speechless. Forever grateful to Mosh for saving her, Bela took time from her housework to help him with the milking. She fed the cows and cleaned the shed. With this newfound love of cooking and entertaining, Mosh prepared meals and cared for the house. By the end of Hanukkah, Bela found that she could speak again, in a voice so kind that even the cows conversed with her. From then on, Mosh and Bela were seen delivering milk together. As for the frying pan, even back in Mosh's hand, it refused to make another pancake. So instead of sitting on top of the wardrobe, it is sealed in a display case in the rabbi's courtyard. But the fame of his lots and the tale of demons spread, and soon folks were traveling from far and wide. Everyone hoped to see the demons under the glass, making a surprise appearance. And sometimes they did. The visitors of Wishniak needed food, and lodging, and heels for their boots, and hay for their horses. Soon the village grew into a bustling market town where no one went hungry, and for years to come, even on the coldest Hanukkah nights, candles burned brightly in the windows, and the smell of frying lots rose over the houses in a golden haze that seemed to reach the stars. On the snow on the rooftops, milk in the pail. That is the end of this Hanukkah tale. That is an amazing story. What did you think, Madam Owl? I like that part too. We'll see you on the next adventure, okay? We'll see you on the next adventure here with Wayne Reads. Thank you for joining us for this amazing holiday tale. And we can't wait to see you again. Bye-bye.